It really is the best time to be an Overwatch fan, right now, because so many of us wanted a competitive experience from this game for years, and I know many of you, like me, felt we had kind of a toxic, abusive relationship with Overwatch. We loved it so much, but the game just kept letting us down. Luckily, I always loved some of the casual modes. Quick play, gun game, had an absolute blast with when I grinded that, but what I want to talk about today is Overwatch finally fulfilling on its promise to being the competitive experience many of us have always dreamed of. I'm addicted to the game now more than ever just because the system that they put in place, roll queue on the PTR and the beta of which going live next Tuesday, has me hooked. Today I want to focus more on the cultural impact and the experience of playing the game, share what I've been going through, and really just celebrate because we're finally here, the promised land. I mean, they're calling it the roll queue beta, but really, between you and me, the last 17 seasons was the actual competitive beta. Now we're getting a real ranked mode, one that makes for reliable games each and every time. I see a lot of comments when I talk positively about roll queue, and they say, well, it's just on PTR. Everybody's a tryhard, that's the dedicated fan base. They're going to give you a better experience, and no, believe me, no. People are not trying on the PTR, and I wish they would. I wish it was treated with the utmost tryhardiness, but a lot of people are just testing out heroes and not really committed to it like they might when the actual competitive season goes live. But regardless of that, I'm still having a good time, because the truth is, even with throwers or people picking bad heroes or whatever annoyance you might think, you really are able to shape your experience and adjust as things get too stressful. I've enjoyed being able to select tank and have instant queues in a few seconds, but at the same time, we all know that some roles are just impossibly stressful, but now that you're able to queue up and select a different one, it feels like you're playing a whole new game again. It's refreshing. It's sort of a mental reset, and I highly suggest that you explore everything Overwatch has to offer. Whatever your main role is, as soon as you feel like you're running out of gas, maybe getting fatigued with how hard the game is now, or frustrated with your teammates not supporting you in the way you think they should, switching roles gives you their perspective all of a sudden. Oh yeah, that's right. Hitting shots on DPS is impossible. And if nothing else, the split SRs allows you to take each role with the level of seriousness that you can bring to it. Maybe one role you use for playing with a friend who's a lower SR than you, but your tryhard sweaty role is a different one. And now you can finally play with them on that same account thanks to the new role-specific SR system. This is so great. It allows everyone to enjoy the whole game whenever they want and learn it at their own pace. Rather than, okay, Hanzo, one trick, well, your team needs you to play Ryan for the first time. Good luck jumping right in at your main SR. Now you can have much more fun with it going down a rank while you learn the ropes of that character, and you might be able to find, oh man, this actually is really fun. All the roles are way more fun in Lock 222. Because the basics of the Overwatch synergies and combos are all there, all the time. Because it's just so much fun, and you can keep switching roles anyway. All the anxiety around making sure that you're prepared for everything when you hit Q for ranked is just gone entirely. I mean, for example, like just to play on live, I had to have my mechanics ready to play every role, whereas now I know exactly which role I'm gonna play and what the game's gonna be asking of me, right? If I'm feeling hot, I can pick damage. And if not, I can go to other roles that I'm just much more comfortable with, the mechanics of which aren't as taxing on me, which allows me to play longer. That's what I mean. The new system, instead of feeling punishing to play all the time, it feels rewarding and gives you reasons to continue to play. Grind up that lower SR role. Come on, it's sitting right there. Every time you press Q, you say, oh, I haven't placed those roles yet. And you start to wonder, what could I get on those roles? Because I know something about the Overwatch community. Most of us are very OCD with our player cards. Sometimes this was reflected in a bad way, where players would sort of protect their stats and would switch off their best roles in a game where they felt like their teammates weren't very good. Well, now that each of us is judged in this 2-2-2 system, I think a big percentage of us are going to feel compelled to want to raise that SR across our three roles, or at least test them out and have fun with them, right? Even if you're a plat tank but bronze at damage, at least you get a chance to play damage, right? Without feeling like it's a big detriment to your team, because you're always playing around teammates that are also at that SR on their roles. The sorting of this solves so much at once. I want everyone to know the game inherently feels compelling to play. I'm so happy about this. And I feel that way about the PTR, which I know my stats aren't going through. None of it counts in a week, but it doesn't matter. I haven't touched the live game since the PTRs come out. My SR's decaying. I don't care. I hope it goes to 0. I hate that old system. The new one with roll queue is finally season 1 of competitive, as far as I'm concerned. The culture of of the game is immediately different. And I'm so excited to be able to say that because this is what's been wrong with the game for so many years. I'm thinking about wanting to play all the time. When's the last time you felt like, oh, one more game, it's getting late, I got something to do tomorrow, but I feel compelled to want to keep playing Overwatch? I know for many of us, the feeling of that was completely reversed for quite a long time, where we desperately wanted to put time into the game, and it constantly let us down to the point where it's like, I gotta stop playing, or I'm gonna just hate this game forever. It's too stressful, I can't handle it. Now it's the other way, where the main stressor point, in my opinion, is the difficulty of the game, the competitive experience, and that's what's had me so addicted. And of course, there are some problems that you're still going to have. Roku, of course, isn't aiming to fix everything, it just fixes most things. But for example, if you're an off-tank only player, solo queuing might be a bit of a problem for you if you expect to only ever play off-tank. I suggest you remedy that and actually learn main tank as well, because they are so darn powerful. But short of that, to overcome some of these types of struggles, I do suggest that many of you try to find one person to duo with inside your role that plays the other heroes in that role. I think that's the best way to queue. You either can go solo if you know most of the role and can solve it that way, but if you want to specialize in either off tank, off support, whatever, locking down a synergy between you and your duo partner has more power than it used to, and it's kind of reversed to what it was on live. Because for example, if you were in a duo on the live version of the game in like DPS or tank or really anything, and you got one more player on your team that was also that role, all of a sudden you have some wacky comp, right? That perhaps the rest of the team isn't prepared to play or know how to or whatever. Now it's the opposite. Now I highly suggest you go in on the same role with your duo, because that makes all of the positives I already said even more reliable. You know exactly the amount of flexibility you have and what you're going to get out of that section of your team comp. And with that level of power, then you can really start to explore the flexibility that the wide cast of Overwatch characters provides. And I know there's a popular misconception said that Overwatch doesn't have many heroes or something, but 31 unique playstyles is a massive cast of characters in my opinion. And you really start to feel this when you're in this role queue system, realizing that you can indeed flex to any type of playstyle to go up against whatever's beating you. Do we need more range damage? Do we need a big ultimate? Do we need close quarters punish abilities for things diving onto us? It kind of feels to me that Blizzard was only comfortable with putting 222 into the game this far out, because now, especially with Sigma being added to the lineup, every role has these answers, which is a far cry to where Overwatch started at launch in 2016. Because if you remember back to then, Symmetra was a support character, and the only healers were Mercy and Lucio, really, because back then Zen had about 10 HP. We're in a whole nother world now, and as well back then, damage was split into offense and defense, which made no sense and wouldn't have worked anyway. So overall, I'm just really happy with this big step forward that Overwatch is taking, because it finally feels serious and legitimate. Sure, a lot of people are clowning and just playing the hero that they like, but that hurts the team much less in this system, which is a beautiful thing. And other concerns that we and many others posed, the MMR system on the PTR was pretty shaky at first, I'm not gonna lie, but now that there's been enough time for most people to have played on it, it's settled down quite a bit. However, I will say, whenever you get someone that is placing an account, there can be very radical swings in accuracy of the MMR/SR system, which still worries me. What it seems to me, after a lot of experience placing a ton of different accounts and knowing how the SR system adjusts you, because there's only 5 placements per role now, the way they've set this up makes sense, because this is kind of how the old system works. Let me explain. After you place now on the PTR, the next 5 games gives you radical boom or bust SR boosts up or down, where losses or wins gives you like 100 SR one way or the other. I really don't like this because it makes it all very volatile, but to some degree, in the old 10 game placement system, it did this anyway. If you ever noticed, when you're doing your placement games in the old system, what it would do is progressively try to give you harder and harder challenges, putting you in higher and higher ranked games, sort of testing out how well you would do in that environment. I happen to not like this very much either, because it can potentially ruin the gameplay for the other 5 people on that player's team if they aren't in fact ready to be placed that highly. But now it sort of seems like that is still happening. It just shows you the SR now, right? It sort of shows you the progress a little bit earlier. Really, I would like this all to be done with. I know a lot of people do want an MMR reset. That would be an absolute travesty. You definitely do not want that. And to the degree that it has soft reset people is also a mistake. It just makes for widely inaccurate games. And thankfully, with enough playtime and people getting placed, and as long as the game tries to keep players placing away from those who have placed, the more legitimate this system will be and how it feels. We don't know to what extent they will be tweaking this, but even worst case scenario, if these issues I'm bringing up just go to live, it's not too different from the SR inconsistencies that we've already been playing with anyway. And given a bit of playtime, things do properly stabilize anyway. And despite the early volatile period, are way more stable now. Because if you indeed cannot hang on a certain role, well, it's gonna kind of stick out like a sore thumb in gameplay anyway. Meaning, despite my criticisms, very likely a huge percentage of games played overall are going to be more accurate and better after all of this is said and done. I'm just a little bit nervous at the early changeover period, but otherwise extremely hyped for Ranked 2.0. The beta Season 0 starts on Tuesday for a few weeks, and then Season 1, aka Season 18, that's what they'll call it, but starts in a few weeks after that. But that's okay, you and I know the truth. But in any case, it just feels great to be excited again, to want to keep playing the game. And a little secret for those of you who have stayed this long in the video, we have tossed around the idea of potentially streaming Overwatch to our YouTube channel, because if we're having this much fun, we see no reason to not share it with all of you as well. So let us know if that's something you'd be interested in. Well guys, that's everything I wanted to discuss about the state of Overwatch. Have you played on the PTR on roll queue as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sorry console, all you guys will be able to jump into the action Tuesday, and I hope you do. And when that rolls around, feel free to let us know what your experiences are like on Twitter at Your Overwatch YT. Check that out, link to the description. And if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out. Let us know that you're enjoying the content, and don't forget to subscribe and be sure to hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. That's been it for me. I've been FREEDO for Your Overwatch. See you guys next time.